Welcome back to Meta Grounds, Space Pilots. The question that's been burning in every Star Citizen fan's mind for over a decade is finally getting some concrete answers. Squadron 42's release date. We're diving deep into every hint, leak, and official statement that points to when we'll finally get our hands on this game. And trust me, what I discovered in my research might surprise you. Stick around because the most compelling evidence comes at the very end of this video. Before we get into the meat of this analysis, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because Squadron 42 news has been coming fast and furious lately, and you don't want to miss any updates. Today, we're going to analyze everything from Chris Roberts' latest interviews to subtle hints hidden in development updates. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete picture of not just when Squadron 42 is coming, but why the timing makes perfect sense from a business perspective. But first, let's talk about the elephant in the room. SIG has officially committed to a 2026 release window for Squadron 42. This announcement came at CitizenCon 2024, where they showed off an entire hour of gameplay footage. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is something most people missed. Chris Roberts didn't just say 2026. He specifically mentioned they want to release Squadron 42 before Grand Theft Auto 6 launches. Now, why is this significant? GTA 6 is currently scheduled for fall 2025, which means Squadron 42 would need to launch in early to mid-2026 at the latest to avoid being completely overshadowed. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's strategic positioning. Roberts has been very vocal about wanting Squadron 42 to be almost as big an event as GTA 6's release. But wait, there's more. In August 2025, Roberts gave an interview where he projected Squadron 42 would release next year, meaning 2026. However, just last week, SIG's Jake Huckaby made a statement that sent shockwaves through the community.
He said, and I quote, "I don't know that we're gonna make it. I just know that we're going to do every single thing possible to make it. Now, before you panic, let's analyze what Huckaby actually said. The key phrase here is I don't know that we're gonna make it. This isn't a delay announcement. It's corporate speak for we're being realistic about our timeline, and honestly, this might be the most encouraging thing we've heard from CIG in years. Think about it. For over a decade, CIG has been overpromising and underdelivering on dates. Remember Answer the Call 2016? How about when Squadron 42 was supposed to be in beta in 2020? The fact that they're now being cautiously optimistic rather than making bold promises suggests they've learned from their mistakes. Here's another crucial detail most people overlooked. CIG announced that Squadron 42 won't have any presence at CitizenCon this year. Huckaby explained this by saying the team is heads down and they drew a line in the sand when we said 2026. This is actually massive. It means they're prioritizing development over marketing, something they've never done before. But the real smoking gun? The financial pressure. Recent reports suggest CIG is facing some financial constraints, which means they absolutely cannot afford another major delay. Squadron 42 needs to ship to generate revenue for continued Star Citizen development. This creates a pressure cooker situation where 2026 isn't just a target, it's a necessity. Let's dive into the technical indicators that support a 2026 release. Back in October 2023, Chris Roberts announced that Squadron 42 was feature complete and moving into the polish phase. Now, typically, the polish phase for a game of this scope takes 18 to 24 months. Counting from October 2023, that puts us right in the 2025 to 2026 timeframe. But here's where it gets interesting. The CitizenCon 2024 gameplay demonstration wasn't just a scripted demo, it was actual gameplay running on the live engine. The level of polish shown in that hour-long sequence suggests they're much further along than many people realize. The facial animations, the seamless transitions between space and ground combat, the integration with the persistent universe technology, all of this indicates a product that's approaching release readiness. There's also the celebrity cast factor. Getting A-list actors like Mark Hamill, Gary Oldman, and Gillian Anderson isn't cheap. These contracts likely have specific deliverable dates attached to them. SIG wouldn't have committed to such an expensive cast without being confident in their timeline. Another technical indicator: the recent Star Citizen updates have been incorporating Squadron 42 systems, server meshing, the new flight model updated, AI systems. These are all technologies that Squadron 42 needs to function. The fact that they're being rolled out in Star Citizen first suggests Squadron 42 is close behind. From a business perspective, 2026 makes perfect sense, and here's why. SIG has raised over $800 million through crowdfunding, but that money isn't infinite. They need Squadron 42 to be a commercial success to fund the completion of Star Citizen. Delaying beyond 2026 would mean burning through more cash reserves without generating revenue. There's also the competitive landscape to consider. The single-player space sim genre has been relatively quiet since Squadron 42 was announced, but that's changing. Other developers are working on similar projects, and CIG knows they need to strike while they still have market dominance in terms of hype and anticipation. The timing also aligns with CIG's broader strategy. They've been talking about Star Citizen 1.0 releasing in 2027 to 2028, having Squadron 40 to launch in 2026 creates a perfect stepping stone. It generates revenue, proves their technology works, and builds momentum for the Star Citizen release. But here's something most people don't realize. Squadron 42 is essentially CIG's proof of concept for their entire technology stack. Everything they've built, the rendering engine, the physics system, the AI, all of it needs to work perfectly in Squadron 42 before they can confidently launch Star Citizen. This means Squadron 42 isn't just a game. It's validation of a decade plus of development. Now, let's talk about the unofficial sources. There have been several industry insiders who've hinted at internal CIG timelines. Tom Henderson, a reliable gaming industry leaker, has suggested that Squadron 42 only recently achieved true feature complete status, despite CIG's 2023 claims. This would explain the 2026 timeline if the game only became truly feature complete in late 2024. Then 18 to 24 months of polish puts us right in the 2026 window. There are also financial documents that have leaked suggesting CIG is planning for a major revenue influx in 2026. While these documents don't explicitly mention Squadron 42, the timing is suspicious. What else could generate that kind of revenue for SIG in 2026? Employment listings have also been telling. SIG has been hiring core testers and polish specialists throughout 2024 and into 2025. These aren't feature development roles, they're the kind of positions you hire when you're getting ready to ship a product. And here's a subtle hint most people missed. CIG's marketing budget allocation has shifted. They've reduced spending on Star Citizen marketing while increasing budget allocations for what they're calling single-player campaign promotion. Guess what that could be referring to? Based on all this evidence, here's my prediction. Squadron 42 will release in Q1 2026. Specifically, I'm betting on March 2026. Here's why this timing makes perfect sense. First, it's after the holiday rush of 2025, giving the game room to breathe in the market. Second, it's well before GTA 6's fall 2025 release, assuming GTA 6 doesn't get delayed. Third, it aligns with CIG's fiscal planning. They typically want to show strong Q1 numbers to investors and backers. March 2026 also gives them the entirety of 2025 to polish and debug. Remember, this is CIG's most important release ever. They cannot afford for Squadron 42 to launch in a broken state. The reputation damage would be irreparable. But here's the most compelling reason for early 2026. SIG needs Squadron 42 to succeed to fund Star Citizen's completion. Every month they delay is money out of their pockets and increased risk of running out of funding before Star Citizen ships. The pressure is real. The timeline is aggressive but achievable, and most importantly, they've finally learned to be realistic about their capabilities. All signs point to Squadron 40 to finally becoming a reality in 2026. So there you have it, the complete breakdown of Squadron 42's release timeline. While CIG is being cautious with their language, all evidence points to a 2026 release, and I'm personally betting on Q1 2026. What do you think? Are you convinced that 2026 is realistic? Or do you think CIG will find a way to delay it again? Let me know in the comments below. And if you want to stay up to date on all the latest Squadron 42 news and analysis, make sure you're subscribed to Metagrounds with notifications turned on. Until next time, see you in the verse, pilots.